guys, we are back with another song by Eminem, and we just did one from the new album. So, which one are we doing now?
Yes, so we just did Bad Guy, which
Yeah,
was the first track off the Marshall Mathers LP2. So the very next track is a skit. What we're gonna do that. It's called Parking Lot, and then we're gonna go right into the next song, which is Rhyme or Reason.
I know that one.
Yeah, I know you like this one.
It's kind of like a joke. I don't know if you guys were watching our video when we discussed the song the first time, but I was 100% sure that it was a Lionel Richie sample, and he was like 100% sure, telling me I'm wrong, that it was a The Doors sample, and it's neither.
I know I was making fun of her. I was like, "That's not Lionel Richie. You kidding me?" I was like, "I'm pretty sure it's The Doors," but it wasn't, which is funny. So the sample is the zombies. And it's time of the season, so that's what he's doing.
Okay.
So we'll first, like I said, we're going to go through the parking lot skit, which there's actually interesting thing to discuss with that, and then we'll go into rhyme or reason.
Okay.
All right.
And this video is sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a ticket website where you can buy tickets for concerts, sporting events, comedians, like anything you can get a ticket for. Our promo code is with Smith. I'm going to throw it right here. And you will get $20 off your very first purchase. Yes. So definitely check that out. It also will let you know if the ticket is a good deal or a bad deal, which is great because you'll know that you're getting a good deal and not getting ripped off. And also check out our Amazon storefront. A lot of James's favorite clothes are in there and like favorite everything. So are mine, but like there are no women who really watch our channel. I think we have maybe like 3% are women, but like
Yeah.
there's good stuff in there. And that's linked below as well. And follow us on social media, subscribe. Social media is right there.
All that stuff.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry.
So parking lot skit. Do this quick.
Yes.
Hurry the fuck up. Thank you. Go, go, go. What the fuck? The fuck they go? The fuck bail on me? Fuck. Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Are you fucking kidding me? Shit. Get up! Parking lot! Shit! Fuck it.
It's giving GTA.
Yes, very much so. So there's a very big tie-in with the Marshall Mathers LP, the original album that came out in, what was it, 2000, I think?
Yeah, that was the end of him robbing that lady, right?
Yes, so Criminal was the last track on that CD. And right before the third verse is that skit where it's like, "Oh, come on, Em, don't kill anybody this time." And he's like, "All
Yeah.
right, fine." And then he goes in the bank, says, "Put the fucking money in the bag, and I won't kill you." And she's like, "Don't kill me, don't kill me." She hands him the money. He shoots her, and then
Mhm.
laughs, and then runs
It
out.
says thank you.
Yes, exactly. He does say thank you, which is the funniest part of it.
And he kills a lot of dogs in his skits. I don't like that.
So this is the first one that I'm aware of. But
Or he's talked about killing a dog.
so
Something.
so that's the other tie-in. So this skit picks up exactly where that left off. Now, you pointed out about him shooting the dog in Criminal. There's a line where he says, "Die, bitches, bastards, brats, pets. This puppy's lucky I didn't blast his ass yet."
Yeah, that's what I'm probably thinking of.
So it's funny because obviously the skit, his getaway driver leaves him, so he's stranded, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then he's trying to get away from the cops, and then the dog sounds like the dog might start to like attack him or something, and then he shoots and kills the dog. Then the cops eventually catch up with him. He's cornered and he says, "Oh, fuck," and then shoots himself. And then, assumedly, dies. So, as I mentioned, we did Bad Guy, which that's technically the intro to the album, but it's not a skit, it's a full song, right?
Yeah.
And the last line of that is like, as we pick up where the last Mathers left off, right? And
Yes.
then the very next thing you hear is this skit, the parking lot skit, right?
Okay.
And then we go right into the next track, which is Rhyme or Reason, which we're going to do now. So, yeah, there's tons of parallels there, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, I feel like he had to do that because this is the second one. So
Yes.
like, there has to be something about it that makes it different from just being another album. Like it needs to have like some
Yeah,
relation
because he's calling it
there.
the same name, you
Yeah,
know? So
exactly.
the first song, obviously, Bad Guy ties in with Stan. Um, that's the second track, the skit ties in with Criminal. And, it's scattered throughout the whole album, the references and the parallels back to the original, you know?
What does this song tie in with or nothing
I'm
specifically?
trying to think. I don't know if this song necessarily does. There may be a few lines that maybe he's similar to something he said. I'm not actually sure. As we'll go through it, we'll see if there's anything that rings the bell.
Okay.
So, all right, here we go. Rhyme or reason.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Marshall. I don't have one. My mother reproduced like the Komodo dragon. And had me on the back of a motorcycle, then crashed in the side of a locomotive with that. I'm local, it's like canning a psycho, a loaded handgun. Michelangelo with a paint gun in a tantrum, about to explode all over the canvas. Back with the Yoda of rap and a spasm. Your music usually has them, but range for the game, your enthusiasm it has them. Follow you must, regrooving my little Padawan. A Jedi in training, colossal braining, thoughts are entertaining, but docile and impossible to explaining. I'm also vain and probably find a way to complain about a Picasso painting. Puke Skywalker, but sound like Chewbacca when I talk. Full of such blind rage, I need to see an eye dog. Can't even find the page I was writing this rhyme on. Oh, it's on the rampage. Couldn't see what I wrote, I write small. It says, ever since I drove a 79 Lincoln with white walls, had a fire in my heart and a dire desire to aspire to die hard. So as long as I'm on the clock, punching this time card, hip-hop ain't dying on my clock.
Sometimes when I'm sleeping, she comes to me in my dreams. Is she taken? She taken, is she mine? Don't got don't care, don't have to shit to give. Let me take you by the hand to promised land and threaten everyone. 'Cause there's no rhyme or no reason for nothing.
I know some of the lyrics,
So yeah, this is actually one of the songs that I put on a decent amount when we're in the car and shit.
but I knew it before that.
Yeah. So this song, it's funny. It's one of my favorites like ever of his. It's like really catchy and stuff, but there's like some really cool like references and like schemes that are like littered throughout, which if you don't pay close enough attention, you might not realize, but it's like really fucking incredible.
I feel like the chorus is kind of more like so bad and seduction.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like not necessarily like the whole song isn't like girl oriented, but the
Yeah.
chorus definitely is.
Yeah. So, all right. So it starts off with the sample. What's your name? And then Eminem says Marshall. And then the sample continues. Who's your daddy? And Eminem says, I don't have one. So it's interesting. We'll see how his answer changes throughout the song when that question comes up.
Yeah.
I will make a note that he, on this album, we're going to see as we go through it, this is the album with the song Headlights, where he makes amends to his mom. I don't know if you remember that song.
I don't know.
So he does, but it's interesting. He kind of pulls back from his mom because obviously he always complained about her, right? And it's funny from this point on, he really leans harder into his dad. It's almost like he had this realization like, yeah, my mom was fucked up. She did these fucked up things, but she was actually there. And she's taking the brunt of it instead of my dad because he just wasn't around. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So something happened within him at this point in time where he really started to focus on his dad and the absence there. It was like,
Really being in recovery. I
yeah,
mean, like for me, I feel like being in recovery, I would have eventually gotten to the point where I just stopped targeting anyone. But I mean, he is a rapper. It is like a good,
yeah, of
something
course.
to rap about.
Yeah. Okay, so he said, "Who's your daddy?" He says, "I don't have one." My mother reproduced like a Komodo dragon.
What does that mean?
Okay, so this is so cool. So Komodo dragons reproduce asexually. So he
Okay.
says, "Who's your daddy? I don't have one. My mother reproduced like a Komodo dragon." So he's literally saying that his dad wasn't in the picture, right?
Yeah, like he's Jesus.
So just the face value of like that, his dad wasn't around. His mom was there, right?
Yeah.
So, but then yes, he is saying that like, oh, she reproduced asexually,
Like the Virgin Mary.
but yeah, like literally pointing out that she didn't need a dad to have a baby. You know what I mean? And then, so my mother reproduced like a Komodo dragon and had me on the back of a motorcycle that crashed into the side of a locomotive with wrap. So she gave birth to him on the back of a motorcycle that crashed on the side of a locomotive with wrap. So it's this crazy. So it's his mom and then rap. So he's talking about like what makes him, right?
Yeah.
And then he says, "I'm loco." It's like handing a psycho a loaded handgun. So he does this cool thing where he does locomotive, which is like a train, and then he
Hmm.
does "I'm loco" again.
Yeah.
So like crazy, and then he says it's like handing a psycho a loaded handgun. So loco, psycho. Michelangelo with a paint gun in a tantrum about to explode all over the canvas.
Interesting.
So again, it's like so the psycho with a handgun, and then it's Michelangelo with a paint gun in a tantrum. So obviously Michelangelo was, painter and shit.
Yeah.
And so he's saying that he is like Michelangelo with the paint gun having a tantrum about to explode all over the canvas. Obviously, Eminem's canvas is the tracks, the music that he raps on.
Like pen and paper.
Yes. Just muted that. All right. Then he continues back with the Yoda of rap in a spasm. So let me read from here to make sure this isn't fucked up. It says back with the Yoda of rap, and then he speaks as Yoda, right? And he says, "In a spasm, your music usually has 'em,
Okay.
but waned for the game, your enthusiasm it hasn't. Follow you must, Rick Rubin, my little Padawan." So this is the Yoda speak where he's flipping around the origins of the words.
So he's saying your music has people in a spasm.
Yes.
Your enthusiasm hasn't waned for the game.
Yes.
And you must follow Rick Rubin, or Rick Rubin must follow you.
No, you must follow Rick Rubin. So Rick Rubin produced this album.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so follow Rick Rubin, my little Padawan. So Rick Rubin obviously is this like the one of the world's greatest producers. So it's like the Yoda saying, "Oh, you got to follow him." So Padawan is another. It's like another Star Wars reference, right? So we have Yoda with his, the way he's speaking like that, and then he says the word Padawan, which is a Star Wars reference, and then the next line is a Jedi in training. So then the Jedi,
Another reference.
yes. A Jedi in training, colossal brain and thoughts are entertaining. So it's interesting. So the Jedi in training comes right after the "Follow you must, Rick Rubin, my little Padawan."
Mm-hmm.
So he's like openly saying like, "Hey, I can learn from Rick Rubin." Do you know what I mean? Like when it
Exactly.
comes to producing and shit. So yeah, a Jedi in training, colossal brain, and thoughts are entertaining. Not of thoughts are entertaining,
Uh-huh.
but docile and impossible to explain. And I'm also vain and probably find a way to complain about a Picasso painting. So he's saying, these thoughts, but
Like
he's
he can find anything to have a problem with.
so yeah, they're like, okay, he's got a colossal brain, right? So he's got a huge brain, and his thoughts are entertaining, but he's also docile and impossible to explain, and he's also vain and would probably find a way to complain about a Picasso painting. And then he says, "Puke Skywalker, but sound like Chewbacca when I talk." Okay, so first up, Puke Skywalker is obviously a play on Luke Skywalker. So that's another. He carried the Star Wars scheme all the way down to this part. It
Uh-huh.
goes back to the whole Yoda shit, right? But he says, probably find a way to complain about a Picasso painting. So he says, "Puke Skywalker." So it's like, oh, like disgust, you know what I mean? Like complaining about that. It kind of ties in there a little bit. And then, but sound like Chewbacca when I talk. So that's another Star Wars reference, the like that. Then he says, "Full of such blind rage, I need a seeing eye dog. Can't even find the page I was writing this rhyme on." So that's obviously play on the phrase, if you have blind rage,
Yeah,
it's
you're
like you're
just
really angry.
And you don't know what's going on.
So it means that you can't think straight.
Yeah.
But he's doing it literally that he has such blind rage that he needs a seeing eye dog because he physically can't see.
Mm-hmm.
But then he continues with that scheme, saying, can't even find the page I was writing this rhyme on. And then he says, oh, it's on the rampage. So he can't find the page that he was writing it on.
Page.
So rampage. And then obviously rampage is like, a crazy fucking like this spree and chaos. So the line he was writing on the rampage, couldn't see what I wrote. I write small. It says, ever since I drove a 79 Lincoln with white walls, had a fire in my heart, and a dire desire to aspire to die hard.
It's a good line.
Yeah, it's great. It's like a mouthful, even trying to recite it. So, yeah, he's just saying, oh, he finally figured out he has this blind rage, can't find the page, finds the page, and he's like, oh, okay, let's see what I have written here. And on the page, it says that ever since he drove the 79 Lincoln with white walls, that's the tires, the white tires. Remember on the old school cars? So literally, it would be like a normal black tire, but on the side, like where the rim is, the rims there, it would literally be painted white. So they're not as common anymore, but you'll see them. They will literally be bright white on the black tire, all around the outside, around the rim. So that's what a white wall is. So he's saying he had them. And then, so he had a fire in his heart and a dire desire to aspire to die hard. Now, when he says die hard here, it sounds like they're using a sample of him. So there's another line later in the song where he says criminal, and it sounds like they're actually using vocals from the song Criminal.
Interesting.
It sounds like they're doing the same thing here on Die Hard. So on another song where he said it, they use it. So then he says, so as long as I'm on the clock punching this time card, hip hop ain't dying on my watch. So that's a very simple line, but it's actually really...
Yeah, it's like a time scheme.
Yes, so as long as I'm on the clock punching this time card, hip hop ain't dying on my watch. So as long as he's rapping, hip hop is never going to go away, right?
Yeah.
But so then the clock punching the time card, and then hip hop ain't dying on my watch. So
Yeah.
watch, card, clock, you know what I mean? But also, as long as I'm in the industry, hip hop's going to be okay. Then it gets into this, I guess this is the chorus. I don't know if this is the bridge.
The
bridge.
chorus.
I think it's like the bridge and then the chorus. It's weird. But yeah, so it's, but sometimes when I'm sleeping, she comes to me in my dreams. Is she taken? Is she mine? Don't care, don't have two shits to give. Now, is it don't got? Is she mine? Don't got time, don't care, don't have two shits to give. So they left out time. And then he says, let me take you by the hand to the promised land and threaten everyone because there's no rhyme or no reason for nothing. So when he says, when she comes to me in my dreams, I assume that he's talking about like hip hop. You know what I mean? Like the game and stuff.
Or just like, it's a double entendre and it's like a girl also.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I tend to think it's, the industry. But either way, he says, don't got time, don't care, don't have two shits to give. And then this part's funny where he says, let me take you by the hand to promised land and threaten everyone. So he's going to take you to the promised land and then threaten everyone. And then he says, because there's no rhyme or reason for nothing. So that's the theme of this song. That
like it just doesn't make sense.
There's no hidden meaning. You don't gotta analyze. Like there's just
like
no
what we're doing.
Kind of meaning like there's no hidden meaning. You know what I'm saying? Like
like nothing secretive.
Yeah, like what he's saying is what he
But
means.
also, if you say there's no rhyme or reason, nothing really makes sense at all either.
Yeah. All right, so we will pick it up here. Continue.
For no reason, for nothing.
Now,
What's your name?
Marshall,
What's your daddy?
I don't know him, but I wonder.
Is he rich like me? Does he take us anytime? Show you what you need to live.
No! If he had, he wouldn't have ended up in these rhymes on my pad. I wouldn't be so mad, my attitude wouldn't be so bad. Yeah, Dad, I'm the epitome and the prime example of what happens when the power of the rhyme falls into the wrong hands. And Makes you wanna get up and start dancing. Even if it is Charles Manson who just happens to be rapping, blue lights flashing, laughing all the way to the bank, laughing in my Kmart mansion. I'm in the style department with a pile in my cart, ripping the aisle apart with great power comes absolutely no responsibility for content, completely despondent and condescending. The king of nonsense and controversy is on a beat killing spree, your honor. I must plead guilty cause I sparked a revolution. Rebel without a cause who caused the evolution of rap to take it to the next level, boosted. But several rebuked it and whoever produced it. Hip-hop is the devil's music. Does that mean it belongs to me? Cause I just happen to be a white honky devil with two horns that don't honk, but every time I speak you hear a peep. But lyrically I never hear a peep, not even a whisper. Rappers better stay clear of me, bitch, cause it's the
time of the season when hate runs high, and this time I'll give it to you easy. When I take back what's mine with pleasured hands and torture everyone, that is my plan. My job here isn't done, cause there's no rhyme or no reason for nothing.
Okay. I feel like it gets better with every verse. So he starts off the second verse. So it starts like the first, what's your name? And he responds, Marshall. Who's your daddy? He says, I don't know him, but I wonder. The sample kicks back in. Is he rich like me? And then Eminem giggles. He's like, "Eh." And then the sample continues, has he taken any time to show you what you need to live? And then Eminem responds, no. If he had, he wouldn't have ended up in these rhymes on my pad. I wouldn't be so mad. My attitude wouldn't be so bad. Yeah, dad. So self-explanatory, his dad wasn't
Yeah, just he doesn't know him at all.
yeah, he didn't show him what he needs to live. He's not rich,
And he didn't raise him. He wasn't there.
Exactly. And Eminem's like, I would no, if he did, I wouldn't even be rapping. I wouldn't be angry. I wouldn't be the person I am today if he did any of those things. Then he says, the epitome and the prime example of what happens when the power of the rhyme falls into the wrong hands. And so it's funny. He's saying,
Saying that like, he shouldn't have been given these rap skills.
yes, he's like, this is what happens when the power falls into the wrong hands and makes you want to get up and start dancing. Even if it is Charles Manson.
Charles Manson's dancing is fantastic.
Yeah, even if it is Charles Manson who just happens to be rapping. So it's funny. He's like, the power's into the wrong hands and it makes you want to get up and start dancing, even if it is Charles Manson who happens to be rapping. So, like, yeah, this evil psycho,
Well, it's
killer.
not only that. I don't know if any of you have ever watched interviews with Charles Manson, but he'll literally like start talking and he just goes like blah 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 and starts making like nonsense noises and like sticking his tongue out and going like absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah.
So I guess like that's what he's referring to. If he were rapping, it would just be like absolute nonsense and chaos.
Well, so Eminem's saying that he's kind of saying that he is the equivalent of Charles Manson in rap. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, I get that.
and then, so Charles Manson also did have a music career. He was actually pretty good, apparently. He worked with the Beach Boys.
It was their Helter Skelter.
And there was some band, I forget if it wasn't the Beach Boys, because he worked with the Beach Boys. There was a band that did a cover of one of his songs. I don't remember who. You could Google it. But yeah.
I don't know.
All right, so this is a cool fucking scheme he does right here. So even if it is Charles Manson, who just happens to be rapping, then he says, blue lights flashing, lamps laughing all the way to the bank, lamping in my Kmart mansion.
Means chilling.
Okay, so blue lights flashing.
The cops.
Yes, and Kmart had the thing called the blue light special. So it's literally
like 20 years ago.
So
or like whenever this.
There's even more to
10 years ago.
There's even more to this scheme though. So Charles Manson happens to be rapping, then blue lights flashing. So, oh, fuck the cops, right? But he says blue lights flashing, like the Kmart thing. He says laughing all the way to the bank, lamping in my Kmart mansion. So you would think, Eminem always talks about white trash and shopping at Walmart. Eminem literally bought the CEOs of Kmart's house. That's whose house he has.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it was literally the Kmart mansion.
That's so funny.
Yes. So he does the blue light special,
Yeah.
ties that in, right? And lamping in my Kmart mansion, so he's chilling. And the guy, oh, the ex-CEO owned it, which
I
is cool.
remember like anytime there was a blue light special or whatever, it like never worked, I think.
Yeah,
From what I remember.
yeah, I
I'd
don't
be like,
remember.
what even or me and anytime I went in there with like my parents, I'd be like, what even is that?
Yeah, I never
Well, we just
understood
like
it.
pay full price for whatever.
Yeah. So he's doing the Kmart scheme, lamping him at Kmart mansion. So yeah, he's chilling. And he says, "I'm in the style department with a pile in my cart, CART, ripping the aisle apart with." So he's in
So
his
he's acting like his mansion is literally Kmart.
like Kmart, yes, and then he's in the style department with a pile in his cart, ripping the aisle apart. So he has a bunch of different styles, right? And then he's ripping the aisle apart with great power comes absolutely no responsibility for content, completely despondent and condescending. The king of nonsense and controversy is on a beat killing spree, Your Honor. I must plead guilty because I sparked a revolution. So again, this is with it's a play on with great power comes
Comes great
great
responsibility.
responsibility.
Yes, of
So he's
course.
flipping it, saying there's no responsibility for content. And he's saying he's completely despondent and condescending. He's the king of nonsense and controversy. He's on a beat killing spree. Your Honor, I must plead guilty. So he's pleading guilty to the killing of the beat, right? Because he
Okay.
went on a killing spree. So he says, I plead guilty because I sparked a revolution, rebel without a cause, who caused the evolution of rap to take it to the next level, boost it, but several rebuked it, and whoever produced it, then you hear a sample. Hip hop is the devil's music.
Who's a sample of?
It's some like preacher or something from back in the day, I believe.
It's not like the big guy,
What big guy?
the blondish guy.
Who, what, like a preacher?
Yeah. The one who's on TV.
So there's a few. You
What's
think
his
you
name?
think Joel Osteen?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not him.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm sure it's easily Googleable. So yeah, so he continues the Rebel Without a Cause, which is obviously that famous James Dean movie, but that goes with the it kind of goes with the no rhyme or reason because if you're so he says he caused a revolution, but he's a rebel without a cause. So he caused a revolution
Without trying
for
to.
no reason. Yeah, it's kind of like the Joker, you know what I mean? Like the whole like
Well, I mean, he
wild
is saying like he's just
no
being
rhyme. Yeah,
nonsense.
no rhyme or reason for any of it. And then he says, he calls the evolution of rap to take it to the next level, boost it, which is true. You know what I mean? Even people that don't like him, they'll acknowledge he made hip hop even bigger than it was, brought it to a new level, a wider audience of people. And then he says, but several rebuked it, and whoever produced it, and then the sample hip hop is the devil's music. So then on the back of the hip hop is the devil's music, Eminem says, is that me? It belongs to me because I just happen to be a white honky devil with two horns that don't honk, but every time I speak, you hear a beep.
So like on a song, his lyrics get bleeped out.
Yes, so it says hip hop is the devil's music, and then Eminem goes, "Me? Does that belong
Like
to me?
I'm
Like, am I the devil?"
mhm.
Because he's a white honky devil with two horns that don't honk. So obviously the devil, and then he's doing a play on white devil. You know what I mean? Like honky, right? You know what I mean? Which is like
Uh-huh.
it's like an insult that non-white people call white people. Honky or white devil, whatever. So he says, "I'm a white honky devil with two horns that don't honk."
So like not car horns.
Yeah, so literally like devil
Yeah.
horns. And but then so they don't honk, but every time I speak, you hear a beep, and then you actually hear the sensor sound effect.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore, but it used to be really annoying, like listening to really explicit songs on the radio. They would
Yeah.
literally put in that beep, like they wouldn't change the words like they do today.
Yeah.
You just hear beep, beep,
Yeah.
beep.
So he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the white hunky devil because, I say all this wild crazy shit and I'm censored." And then he says, every time I speak, you hear a beep, but lyrically, I never hear a peep, not even a whisper. Rappers better stay clear of me, bitch, because it's the
And it goes back into the song.
Yeah, so the chorus is a little different, but yeah, so he says lyrically, I never hear a peep, not even a whisper. So nobody comes at him, you know what I mean? Nobody can even try and he says, rappers better stay clear of me. Then it says, because it's the time of the season when hate runs high, and and is it this time or is it its time? And it's time to give it to you easy.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sometimes I yawn. I'm not bored. I'm just tired.
And he says, "In this time, I won't give it to you easy when I take back what's mine with pleasured hands and torture everyone. That is my plan. My job here isn't done."
I used to always think he was saying, and torture everyone that is my friend.
Oh, really? That's
I was
funny.
like, it's fucked.
That's funny. It would make sense with the no rhyme or reason thing, you
Yeah.
know? My job here isn't done because there's no rhyme or reason for nothing. So yeah, he's saying there's a lot of haters and this he's not going to be easy. He's taking back what's his, I guess, being at the top of the rap game with pleasured hands. So he's
So
like
he's more
enjoying it
yeah.
and he's torturing everyone because there's no rhyme or reason for any of it. All right, let's finish off the song now.
Reason for nothing.
So, shady. I don't give a fuck. But I wonder,
Rich like me.
doubt it.
Does it take us anytime to show you what you need to live?
So yeah, Dad, let's walk. Let's have us a father and son talk. But I bet we wouldn't probably get one block without me knocking your block off. This is all your fault. Maybe that's why I'm so bananas. I appeal to all those walks of life. Whoever had strife, maybe that's what dad and son talks are like. Cause I related to the struggles of young America when their fucking parents were unaware of the troubles. Now they're ripping out their fucking hair again. It's a stare-ruckle. I chuckle cause everybody bloodies their bare knuckles. Yeah, better beware, knuckleheads. The sign on my hustle says don't knock. The door's broken, it won't lock. It might just fly open, get cold cocked. You critics come to pay me a visit. Misery loves company. Please stay a minute. Kryptonite to a hypocrite, zip your lip if you dish it but can't take it. Too busy getting stoned in your glass house to kick rocks, then you wonder why I lash out. Mr. Mathers as advertised on the flyers, so spread the word cause I'm promoting my passion till I'm passed out. Completely brain dead, Rain Man doing a bankhead in a restraint chair. So bitch, shoot me a look, it better be a blank stare or get shanked in the pancreas. I'm angrier than all 8 other reindeer put together with Chief Keef, cause I hate every fucking thing, yeah. Even this rhyme, bitch, and quit trying to look for a fucking reason for it that ain't there. And I still am a criminal, 10-year-old degenerate grabbing on my genitals. The last Mathers LP then went diamond. This time I'm predicting that this one will go emerald. When will the madness end? How can it when there's no method to the pad and pen? The only message that I have to send is dead. Come back at it again.
Okay. So we'll break down this last part.
Yes.
So he does the chorus again, and then he starts the third verse with another sample. It says, "So, what's your name?" And this time Eminem responds, "Shady," instead of Marshall, which he did in the last 2 verses.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sample continues, "Who's your daddy?" And he responds, "I don't give a fuck, but I wonder." Sample picks up, "Is he rich like me?" Eminem says, "Doubt it," and then laughs again. And then the sample, "Has he taken any time to show you what you need to live?" Then Eminem continues with, "So yeah, Dad, let's walk. Let's have us a father and son talk. But I bet we probably wouldn't get one block without me knocking your block off. This
So
is
his head.
this is all your fault. So yeah, like come on, Dad, let's have a father and son talk. And we wouldn't even make it that far if we tried because I'd beat the shit out of you.
Exactly.
Yeah, knock your block off." Then he said, "This is all your fault. Maybe that's why I'm always so bananas. I appeal to all those walks of life."
That's a good line. Bananas and appeal.
Appeal, yeah, obviously play on banana. "I appeal to all those walks of life, not like." It says like there. It's Life.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Whoever had strife, maybe that's what dad and son talks are like." So he appealed to, everybody in all walks of life. And he's like, whoever had strife. And he's like, oh, maybe that's what dad and son talks are like because he's never had them. He doesn't know what they're like. So he's like, maybe the relationship that I have with my fans is similar to the relationship that fathers and son have. You know what I mean? He's like wondering out loud.
Yeah, no, I can understand that because I'm an only child, and like whenever people talk about having a brother or sister, it's definitely different than not having a parent. But like, I don't know what it's like having a brother or sister. I never had one.
Yeah. So he's like, I don't, he's kind of wondering aloud. Then he says, maybe that's what dad and son talks are like, because I related to the struggles of young America when their fucking parents were unaware of their troubles. Now they're ripping out their fucking hair again. So the lyrics are wrong here. He says it's hysterical, but he says it hysterical. It's hysterical. So he says it to make it rhyme. So he said, now they're ripping out their hair, their fucking hair again. It's hysterical. I chuckle. So he's saying he laughs that everybody's ripping their hair out because the shit he's saying, but he connected with the young Americans. Then he says, because everybody bloodies their bare knuckles. So, everybody gets into it. Yeah. And he says, yeah, uh-oh. Better beware knuckleheads. So bare knuckles, knuckleheads kind of
Yeah,
ties
it's a
in.
good scheme.
Then he says, the sound on my hustle says don't. The sign on my hustle says don't knock. So
Okay, like don't knock my hustle.
yes. And then he says the door's broken. It won't lock. It might just fly open. Get cold cocked. So yeah, like you just pointed out the scheme. So the saying don't knock the hustle, can't knock the hustle. So he's saying the sign on my hustle says don't knock. The door's broken. It won't lock. It might just fly open, get cold cocked. So it's a little play on an actual door, as you'll see. He continues with
Yeah.
that, or like the door to his hustle. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's why you thought it was by the doors.
Maybe it's possible. So yeah, it might just fly open, get cold cocked. You critics come to pay me a visit. Misery loves company. Please stay a minute. So again, it might just fly open and get cold cocked. The door will hit you in the face, and he's referring to like the critics that pays him a visit. But he's like, misery loves company. Please stay a minute. So the critics are there to shit on him and critique him, and he's like, oh well, misery loves company. So please stay a minute. I'm gonna do some shit to you. Then he continues, says, kryptonite to a hypocrite. Zip your lip if you can dish it but can't take it. Too busy getting stoned in your glass house to kick rocks, then you wonder why I lash out. So I love this line. So kryptonite is obviously Superman's only weakness, right?
Yes.
It's the one thing that, he can't handle. So kryptonite to a
It
hypocrite.
like kills him.
Yeah. So zip your lip if you can dish it but can't take it out. So it's a common expression. You can dish it but can't take it out. And he says, too busy getting stoned in your glass house to kick rocks. So you shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house, is the saying, right? But he's saying you're too busy getting stoned in your glass house to kick rocks. So he's combining a few,
Yeah,
common
sayings.
phrases here. And obviously, kick rocks means like go fuck
So
off.
yeah.
Yeah. And he says, then you wonder why I lash out. It says, Mr. Mathers, as advertised on the flyers. So spread the word because I'm promoting my passion till I'm passed out. So this looks like a simple one, but it's actually pretty cool. So Mr. Mathers as advertised on the flyers. So spread the word, like flyers, because I'm promoting my passion till I'm passed out. So promoting ties in with advertising and flyers, and then passed out is literally passed out like asleep, but passed out like flyers and advertising and spreading the word. So it's like he carries that same fucking thing for those few lines. It's really cool. Then he says, a complete, is it, I think it's end completely brain dead. Let's see, I have the lyrics on my phone. Ba, 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 ba. He says, completely brain dead. And then Rain Man doing a bankhead in a restraint chair. So he's saying he's brain dead and he's like Rain Man, which we discussed. He has a song called Rain Man.
Yeah.
He was an idiot savant. He's like really
Yes.
smart in certain things. And he says doing a bankhead in a restraint chair. So the bankhead, that like Southern dance. I actually don't know how it goes.
I don't know.
Yeah, I forget what it is. Like the bankhead something, not like the Harlem Shake or the something shuffle. It's called the bankhead something. I forget what it is, but so he's doing that in a restraint chair. So I'm imagining
Like dancing in a string.
like Hannibal Lecter, how
Yeah.
he's like tied up like that. So then he says, "So bitch, if you shoot me a look, it better be a blank stare, or get
Okay.
shanked in the pancreas."
So it's like a shooting scheme.
Yeah, so
Shoot and a blank.
yeah, so if you're shooting a look at somebody, you're looking at them. So he's like, if you're going to look at me, it better be a blank stare, meaning you don't mean anything. And then, like you pointed out, shooting a look and then blank, like a bullet. He says,
Or like a not. It's a blank can't hurt you.
yeah,
Well, maybe it could, but like it's what you use,
yeah,
when
it's a
you're
bullet.
practicing.
Yeah, yeah. He says, or get shanked in the pancreas, which is funny if it's not a blank stare. Then he says, I'm angrier than all, than all eight of the other reindeer. I'm angrier than all 8 other reindeer put together with Chief Keef because I hate every fucking thing. So you remember with Rudolph, all the other reindeer were mean. They were like dicks to
Yeah.
him. So that's the reference with the reindeer. And then he says put together with Chief Keef. Chief Keef had that song, that's that shit I don't like.
Oh,
So he,
okay.
he just listing things that he hated. So Eminem saying, I'm angrier than all the 8 other reindeer and Chief Keef because I hate every fucking thing. Yeah. So like Chief Keef's song, that's that shit I don't like. Then he says, even this rhyme, bitch, and quit trying to look for a fucking reason for it that ain't there. So he's saying, I hate everything. I even hate this rhyme that I'm doing right now. And he says, so quit trying to look for a reason for it that ain't there. Meaning, like, why are you looking for a reason why I'm creating this song, why I'm rapping about what I'm rapping? There's no reason. There's no reason. There's no hidden meaning. You know what I mean? He just enjoys rapping. It's fun. Then he says, but I still am a criminal. So that's the other part. I think it sounds like they're using a sample because it sounds just like
Yeah,
he
I think
says,
they
because I'm
are.
a criminal. Like it sounds exactly like that.
Mhm.
But I still am a criminal, 10-year-old degenerate grabbing on my genitals. Then he says, delivers genitals like he did. Criminal. And he says, the last Mathers LP went diamond. This time I'm predicting this one will go emerald. So
That's a good one.
emerald, which obviously the it's like gold, platinum, diamond is the ratings for album sales. Emerald obviously doesn't exist, but it's another precious stone.
Maybe they would make it.
Exactly. It's going to be even bigger than diamond.
Hmm.
And then he says, when will the madness end? How can it win? There's no method to the pad and pen. The only message that I have to send is, Dad, I'm back at it again. And then bitch. And then you hear it in the background, the sample says, who's your daddy? So he's like, yeah, the madness is never going to end. How can it when there's no method, there's no rhyme or reason? And then he says, so there's no hidden meanings, there's no rhyme or reason. The only message that I do have to send is, Dad, I'm back at it again. So with another shot at his dad.
Hmm.
And that is it.
Good. So, yeah, I've known this song. I know like some of the words to the chorus and so on and so forth. It's really good. Definitely chaotic with like having like no reason for anything. So things are kind of like all over the place, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
So I really like this song. I like the chorus a lot.
Yeah, I love this song. It's definitely the one of the best on the albums. It's one of my favorite songs of his, like ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like you say that of every song.
So I say it for a bunch of them.
Uh-huh.
But definitely on this album, it's really cool. The sample's awesome. You know what I mean? It's unique. It's kind of different than his other songs. He always changes his styles, like his cadence, his delivery, the tone.
Yeah.
There's some silliness in it, taking shots, but like also like talking about like serious shit with his dad not being there.
Yeah, it's true.
As I mentioned, by this point he's laying off his mom and going into his dad, which it's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this fucking song. It's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yes.
And definitely check out SeatGeek. Use our promo code for $20 off your first order. Links in the bio. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out our Amazon store, Brunch, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you. Bye.
Bye.